Each year, nearly 1 in 5 adults experience some kind of mental illness, with half of all lifetime cases beginning by age 14 and 75% developing by 24, according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And for those who have a known family history of mental health issues, this may lead to the question, what are my chances of developing a condition? But the answer isn't as simple as you might think. Hey guys, Seeking More here. Before we start today's video, I just want to ask you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you enjoy watching videos about mental health and self-love. With that said, let's get right into it. There is no specific gene for mental illness, but you can be predisposed. Scientists have yet to find specific genes that can be linked to mental illness. Genetic markers may exist, or they may not. Don Mordecai, the national leader for mental health and wellness at Kaiser Permanente, explained, "When we say an illness is genetic, what we're actually saying is that there's some component of it that is genetic. Of all the conditions that we have studied so far, we've yet to find a gene that shows a definite mental illness. What we can definitely see is that there is a genetic predisposition. Genetics can increase your risk, but it's not a guarantee." In 2013, a study funded by the National Institute of Health found that 5 mental disorders, autism, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is ADHD, bipolar disorder, major depression and schizophrenia all share their own genetic roots. And in 2015, researchers at the University of Wisconsin studied a family of rhesus monkeys and concluded the risk of developing anxiety is passed from parents to their children. But experts stress more studies need to be conducted in order to come to a more definitive conclusion. What scientists do know definitively is that environmental factors play a significant role in the development of mental health conditions. These include everything from stress to poor nutrition to substance abuse, death, divorce, neglect, and family life. A genetic predisposition to mental illness coupled with environmental factors can increase the chances that a child or an adult will exhibit symptoms. From 1995 to 1997, the US Center for Disease Control and Prevention conducted a study named the ACE study, which stood for the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. Researchers surveyed more than 17,000 people about their childhood experiences, including physical, mental, and sexual abuse, and their current health status and behaviors. What they found was very striking. There was a direct correlation between the number of these bad events these people had as children and various negative health outcomes as a result. The study showed that as the number of ACEs increases, so does the risk of developing a variety of health issues, including mental health conditions like depression or suicidal ideation. Another scientific model, known as the stress diathesis model, attempts to explain the biological relationship between someone's predisposition for mental health condition and major or ongoing stresses. The model says that the combination of chronic stresses like finances, work, academics, marital problems, or health and family issues, as well as a genetic predisposition to a mental health disorder, can actually increase your likelihood of developing a mental illness. Poverty in particular has been linked to an increased risk of mental illness. Children who grow up poor are more prone to mental illness than their wealthier peers, according to a 2016 paper published in Molecular Psychiatry. Dan Noterman, one of the study's authors and a molecular biologist at Princeton University, also conducted his own research that found that telomeres, which is a DNA sequence at the end of a certain chromosome, are shorter in children from poor families, possibly because of stresses like poor nutrition, for example. The shorter telomeres can lead to poor general health. Just because you're predisposed to a mental health condition and experience an ongoing stressor doesn't mean you'll end up with a mental illness. Every person is different, even twins with similar DNA structures. Jonathan Sperry, the assistant professor in the clinical mental health counseling program at Lynn University, stated that people do respond differently to the same stressor. In twins who have the same genetic DNA, the expression of depression may not happen in one of them. One may not develop the psychiatric disorder that's in their family tree, even though they may both go through the same stressor. So, what does this all mean? There's research that suggests if a family member has a mental illness, your chances of developing it probably increase. However, you may never exhibit symptoms if you didn't experience any traumatic events as a child. Your everyday life is relatively stress-free and you're in a supportive environment. But it's also important to note that mental health conditions can develop even if there is no family history. Mental health issues are complex, so it's vital to recognize the signs like withdrawal, excessive rumination, extreme anxiety, thoughts of self-harm, periods of mania, and more. If you think that you may have a mental illness, talk with your doctor. Book a session with a local psychiatrist or psychologist, or have a session with an online therapist. I trust these two online therapy sites, so feel free to check them out below. Whatever the outcome is, there's hope. Whether you're living with a mental illness or think that you may be at risk, know that you're not alone and that treatment is available. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, subscribe to the channel and like the video. And as always, keep seeking more.